Did you ever have an experience? Did you ever play for like the Queen? Was the Queen there watching you whilst you were singing the anthem? Have you ever thought about that?
I think she watches all your games, doesn't she?
I think she's a huge fan. Yeah.
And that's another question tied to that is: do you ever imagine who's watching the games? That like, you know, everyone's watching. Are you across that? Like,
I feel like you can't sort of think about that too much because you send yourself loopy. I tried to just block out all that stuff, you know, certainly the World Cups and things like that. Like, just try and block out how big it is, because if you start worrying about it, I think you take too much on your shoulders and play badly. And I think to some degree that might have been the issue in 2006. I think because that was the team I felt should have won the World Cup. It was a
definitely
great team. So. There is an element of that where I think we do probably do start thinking about, oh God, this is massive. You know, if we don't win today, you're going to get slaughtered, and maybe there's a bit of pessimism, maybe. But I think that's changed now, hopefully.
Talking about songs, you never did a World Cup song, did you?
No.
Is that a regret?
I'm gutted, absolutely gutted.
Would you have done one, Chris? It would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be the best thing ever. Yeah, yeah. But 3 lines, you sort of you had 3 lines in.
That was 96.
96 and re-versioned a few times.
Yeah,
certainly re-versioned 98.
You got like Embrace or something like that in 2006, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't think there was one. I think it was a song, was there?
Do you know the one everyone forgets?
Was there?
We talk about this one in your book, Peter. 1998, England United. You got the Spice Girls, because obviously Bex is in that team.
Yeah.
Then you had a bit of a motley collection of Britpop stars. You had Ian McCulloch from Echo and the Bunnymen. You had Tommy from Space. Do you remember Space?
Yeah.
Female of Species. Yeah. You had a bloke, it might have been Steve Craddock from Ocean Colour Scene. Yeah. I think see if you can find that one, Chris. I think that's a decent tune.
What was that?
But it's called, it's by England United, and it's called How Does It Feel?
Yes, it was a great song.
Good tune, isn't it?
Actually, I like that one. But it was at the same time as the reversioned 3 lines, so that ended up doing massive. Or Vindaloo. It was
all
like
at the same
kind of time. But the song went. Like, how does it feel now to be on top of the world? And Mel C was in it.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah. Did you ever get to know the Spice Girls then? Because you were mates with Bex.
No. Victoria was obviously at the games and met her loads of times, and Germany, Baden-Baden. She was. I remember actually playing table tennis with Brooklyn.
Who won?
I put him to bed.
Yeah. Were you? Yeah.
How old was it? That
about 6. I think
but that was a famous tournament for the wives and girlfriends, wasn't it? 2006.
That was a crazy time. The whole thing was mad because the wives and girlfriends, the families were all in a hotel with the press.
That's right.
So we were up in the hills hiding out, really, and then it was absolute carnage down there. And I mean, they were going out and obviously enjoying themselves. It was basically a holiday for them.
Yeah, but they were all going out. Did you have a wife or girlfriend at that point?
Yeah, I was with Abby then. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you were with Abby then, fine. But from what my memories of it was like they were all leaving in groups to go shopping, and all the press was watching them.
Well, they were just following them. So every time they left the hotel, they'd just be followed. So whatever they did was being recorded. So it's like being on holiday, but just being recorded the whole time. So it's literally like that. And then, my dad maintains it was the best holiday of his life because he was out every single night, just boozing with Neville and all the characters and. Cara's mates. And
who's all the characters? You mean the dads?
Yeah, all the dads on the town.
So Neville. I know Neville. There's your dad.
If you say Neville, you've got to sing it to the tune of Rebel Rebel with David Bowie.
Oh, okay, fine. Neville. There you go. So Bex's dad,
Ted.
Yeah, he was there. Sandra, Bex's mum. They were all there. Ashley Cole's mum.
Frank Lampard Senior.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think he was out there, actually.
Do you not find it... So I'm right in thinking you're in a separate hotel, so you don't really get to see... Was it an unwelcome distraction?
We could nip down there and see them on the odd occasion around the pool or something, and then we'd have to go back. It didn't... I mean, I suppose it wasn't... It's not ideal, is it? I think the whole fact that the press were all there as well, and I think... It wasn't ideal, and I think it was probably a bit unsettling. I mean,
you must have... players in your team that like you must have seen people like with my group of mates. They've gone out with girls, and I've been like, they are definitely not right for you. This is ludicrous. And actually, the difference is this is affecting your job because you're there doing. You're so right. We should have won that tournament. And I would hate to think it's anything to do with some of the nonsense that was going on.
Yeah, no, God, that isn't. It's nothing to do. It's not ideal. Let's put it that way. But it was never a problem on the pitch. I mean, you're not thinking about anything other than winning when you're playing. It was just a bit mad.
But wasn't there lots of egos at play? Because I might have got this totally wrong, but I seem to remember stories where it's like it was one of them, maybe Victoria, maybe Cheryl. One of them would refuse to go out with the other wives or girlfriends because they wanted all the press for themselves. Like there was a whole. This is how I was seeing
some
things.
Truth to
like,
this.
No, I don't. I have no idea. I didn't get involved in politics.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Yeah, I'm not bothered. About who's getting the most coverage.
Yeah, but did you ever have to go and have a word and say, Ashley, come here? Like, you need to have a word here. This isn't what we need right now. I've got Abby in my ear.
She's not getting anywhere.
She wants to go to the shops.
I don't know. It's a difficult. I mean, the fact that it got completely banned by Capello, the next, and that was fine. I think it was probably better that way. We're out there to do a job, Banning the. It's nice to see the families. That's what we do at home. But the fact that it's stirring up all these issues was just made it a bit ridiculous. So I think maybe just leave them all at home.
Did you? Because you were in Baden-Baden. You were in what looked to be like a castle. It was a big building up on the hill, wasn't it?
Looked amazing.
Like the hotel from The Shining or something.
Oh, it was incredible.
What did you actually have to do there? Because sometimes they'll lay on the sort of thing you might find at a youth hostel. There'll be table tennis. What else happens at a youth hostel?
Yeah, you must surely pool tables, table tennis, Huay station or whatever you called it earlier.
Huay station. And then you had Tor Grip, Sven's assistant, would entertain you by playing the accordion, wouldn't he?
That's right. Exactly right.
Traditional Swedish songs, or would he do popular classics on the accordion?
No, what's this? What's happened? Who's Tor Grip?
Tor Grip was Sven's. He was always Sven's assistant wherever Sven went, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he was he technically assistant coach? Did he do coaching on the pitch?
I don't actually know. He didn't do a great deal.
Mainly the accordion.
No, he didn't.
Was he good at the accordion?
He was incredible. Yeah, he was amazing. I think we got back from a game one night, and like you say, it was a massive hotel. We had it all to ourselves, so it was when you got home, you could chill out and relax because there's no one around apart from us. And I just remember coming home back from the game one time. We had dinner, and then the people were relaxing sort of in the communal areas and the bar. I just peeked into the bar. I had a bit of music, and Sven was on the piano. And
Sven's on the piano?
Yeah, Sven was tickling the ivories, and Tord was on the accordion.
On the squeeze box?
Literally, playing the accordion. And
what tune?
He must have brought it with him because he was very good on it.
Who else was in there?
Well, quite a few of the lads ended up going in there and having a couple of drinks, and it was a strange old. It was like a very bizarre nightclub.
Did Ray Clements have his banjo?
No, I don't think. I'm trying to think if.
Was he on the 2010?
Was it? No, it was just Tord playing the accordion.
It sounds like if that happened in my life, it would descend into an amazing night. It sounds like a stag do.
Yeah.
Was there a point where it did go that way? Like, I couldn't deal with seeing my manager playing. What was Sven doing?
Sven was on the
piano.
Was he good?
Yeah, he was okay.
Does he sing as well?
No, he didn't do much singing. I think, if I remember rightly, Sven he did a little number, but it was one of the fellas from the FA who was very good on it.
Was he?
And Tord was accompanying him with.
But then does it descend into I don't know, just some sort of like naked kind of party sort of thing?
I can't say it didn't escalate too much.
Accordions are often that's how these things start, isn't it?
Yeah,
it starts with
how
an
it all
accordion.
begins, but the staff are out there having a good time.
Well.
You've got to relax as well, haven't they?
So England, Trinidad and Tobago, you're up front. For a long time, that game is going badly for England, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember watching that one, Chris? You get to half-time, it's 0-0. You get halfway through the second half, it's 0-0. You get to 10 minutes to go, it's still 0-0. And then you pop up on the end of a delightful cross and knob one in.
Yeah,
What's that like?
That was a special moment. you always dream about playing in World Cups, so scoring one was amazing. I remember in the first half missing a volley terribly, and thinking, "Oh no, like what am I doing?" And then so to get that, it was almost a relief, and also the feeling we were 0-0 for far too long in a game that we should have won, and to get that goal was a big relief for everyone. And
then that was the celebration as well, wasn't it?
What for mine?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do any.
Oh, I thought you did
stupid
celebrate
there.
on that one.
No, I did celebrate, but nothing.
This,
I thought
this is
you
the
brought out a
one
bespoke
where a few days later a photo emerged, Chris, of Peter's moment of glory. And as he's heading this beautiful Beckham cross in, he's got a right handful of the defender. Brent Sancho was the guy's name, the defender, wasn't he? You've got a right handful of his hair. Did you know you'd got a handful of his hair?
Right. I have to clear this up because people in Trinidad hate me.
They hate you, yeah.
They do hate me, yeah.
Because I met a couple recently who, because weirdly, a lot of that team ended up living in Scotland after.
Oh, yeah.
Like Jason Scotland and Marvin Andrews.
Yeah.
And I was doing something recently for Radio 1 and met a couple of these players. And I didn't realise how hated you were.
Yeah. So someone said to me I was the most hated man in Trinidad. And I was like,
It's not quite the sexiest man in Jamaica,
No.
is it?
Brett Sancho now
yeah.
he is the sports minister.
He's a sports minister,
yeah,
isn't he?
so he's got power.
So he's got power, and but the thing is, the way it was, the cross came in, and you try and get any sort of leverage you can to head it in, and I don't know what I'm grabbing, but obviously I did, but it looks so bad, the picture where I'm like tugging his hair and like heading it in, but I genuinely didn't know. And then afterwards, people were asking me about it, saying, "Oh, was it a foul?" And I was like, "No, of course not. What are you talking about?" And then so when I went home, saw the goal, I was like, "Oh my God!" Like it was a totally instinctive thing to do. I just didn't even know that I'd done it.
Now, is that being honest?
Yeah, totally honest.
So you didn't, like, on purpose?
Well, I must have done, but
No, but you didn't, like, you were just reaching.
yeah, I was just grabbing and trying to pull him down and get me up. Yeah. So yeah, I was cheating in a lot of ways, but it wasn't intentional really. And it was a foul. So on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago and Brett Sancho, I'd like to apologise.
It would be nice, wouldn't it, if nothing else came out of this podcast apart from a rapprochement between Crouchy and the Twin Islands of Trinidad and Tobago, if the beef were to end at this point.
Well, Tom, you
Draw
know
a line
what
in the sand.
I've been saying to you boys privately on message as well, is that the ambition for this podcast is surely for it to grow and grow and grow. And I think it'd be lovely to do one of the episodes from
Either Trinidad or Tobago.
As a kind of like show of respect.
As an
to
olive
great-
branch,
yeah,
as much as
an
anything
olive
else.
branch, if you're willing to do that.
No, I'm not willing to do that at all.
What, go to Trinidad or Tobago?
I'm sure it'd be lovely, but
Are you scared?
no. I think they're over it now. I'd like to think.
They've not made a World Cup final since.
Yeah, I don't know.
You look genuinely scared then.
No. God, it's only a foul, wasn't it?
So you score your first World Cup goal. Can you just describe to me, please, in words that would like really, really cut through what that's like? Because it is genuinely the stuff of dreams.
Yeah, what I got from that game was there was so many England fans in that stadium, and you know where they've got all the flags and where they're from and what team they support with the St George's crosses, and you see all the white in the crowd. And I remember just running to the side. It was weird because it had like a running track round it, so the fans were quite far away. But I remember just running to the side of the running track and just seeing all the fans like all lined up with all the white and the flags going, and you knew it was more than just a goal. You know, like you'd have scored goals before and been buzzing, but that you knew that was because it was a goal at the World Cup, and you knew that I could just imagine the pubs and the whole nation back home like lifted up, and it's like the fact that I fouled someone to achieve that was a great feeling.
It's an amazing thing, that, Chris, isn't it? There's very few people who will ever do that, who will score in a World Cup finals for their nation, for their country.
Yeah, it's incredible. And also, I don't really think that on this podcast we've talked properly about what a great England player you are or were. Did you properly retire or not?
No, I never did. Yeah, I think.
But I don't think anyone. I kind of respect that because I don't think you should retire.
It shouldn't be your decision. You think?
I don't think it should be your decision. No. What do you think?
Particularly if you're an average player who gives it the whole, I'm withdrawing from international football, and you think, I'm not being funny, but when were you ever going to get involved? Do you know what I mean? There's a few though, aren't there?
Yeah. The flip side of that is, I think Vardy's had a bit of stick recently, and I do get it. There was a time towards the end of my career with England, and where I was a bit part player. You go away for 10 days, and you sit in a hotel and you train, and you know you're not going to play, and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Well, I could be resting or, spending time with my family. And there are times where I thought, God, what, representing your country is the best thing in the world, but I'm not doing that. I'm just coming away, I'm training, and I'm staring at four walls for 10 days. So there are times where you think, like, what am I doing? But I wouldn't do it personally. I feel like, you can't really say you don't want to play. Having said that, when towards the end of my time, Roy Hodgson took over. He dropped me for the Euros, and I found it really difficult to take.
What do you mean, upset or pissed off?
Both. Yeah, I just felt like I had a really good season, and I wasn't going to the Euros, and that basically that conversation with me and Roy was the end of my time.
How did he tell
England, you? Really, he called me. To be fair to him,
It wasn't through Michelle on text.
No, Michelle didn't get involved. No, it was fair play to him. He did call me, but I didn't take it very well. But I had a great time playing for England, and I always remember it. I look back on it with fond memories, and I always felt that I would always score. I genuinely felt that I would score in every match.
Mate, your stats for it were insane.
They're amazing, aren't they? I think people forget how many goals you scored for England. So we've dug these stats out, haven't we, Chris?
Listen, you were explaining them to me. You're the stat man here.
Right. Thank you very much. So goals per minute is the one I think is critical here. So goals per minute. You, Peter Crouch, scored a goal every 99 minutes playing for England. Gary Lineker scored a goal every 136 minutes. Michael Owen every 155 minutes. Alan Shearer every 182 minutes. So you had a scoring record that was twice as good as Alan Shearer's.
Well, it's nice when
it's
you
not
put
bad,
it like
is
that.
it?
No, it's good. I'm so pleased with the amount of goals I scored, but I genuinely felt that I'd go into games, and I felt it in the Champions League as well. I felt that international defenders or in Europe in the Champions League didn't really know sort of how to handle me. They hadn't played against anything like me, so I felt like I would always score, and I felt like I'd always cause problems, and I felt more sort of at ease at that level than maybe the Championship or some of the hard games in the Premier League. I felt like I could do well there, and my record in the Champions League and internationally was always very good.
But that record's ridiculous. That's huge. Would you say I think this? But then I don't in equal measures, because I think everyone knows who you are, and actually since we've started this, so many people have come up to me. Not just talking about like Radio 1 or anything. They want to talk about you and what we're doing here, and they love you. Do you think you were underrated?
I always felt that I was the other option. I never felt first choice ever. Someone always had to get injured for me to play, and then when I did play, I'd do well, and then it would always be but until someone's fit, or so, I always felt that was the case with England, and I've had that sort of throughout my career, referenced as like Plan B. I could never be Plan A, even though I was scoring. I felt like I had to score in every single game to then start the next game. So it was like if I didn't score, it was like, right, okay, it's over, it's finished now. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I felt like I had to constantly prove myself, definitely. But thankfully, like, the goals were flying in, so I did stay in for a long period. But I felt like other players maybe would have had more opportunity if they hadn't scored, say, for 3 games. They'd continue to play.
This is what I imagine happens, but you never know for sure. Like, do you get paranoia when, like, take Owen, when he was like banging them in at one point, and maybe what was the game where he got He got 3, didn't he?
It was your
And
debut,
you-
wasn't it?
in your debut.
My debut, yeah, you got a hat trick that game.
Do you then look at him and think, "Ah, you prick"?
No, because that's Michael Owen. That's what he's been doing for years. So I just expect him to do that. But no, don't get me wrong. There are times where someone maybe on your level might play ahead of you, and you're like, I want the team to do well, but you don't want him to. You don't want him to score.
Who knocks you then?
Selfishly, you do think that like that, and you have to, I think, because at the end of the day, if he does well, you don't play.
So who knocked you then?
It's a selfish role because goalkeepers, it's one goalkeeper and you're judged from that. Defenders and midfielders is a different game. And then strikers, when it comes to that, if people are playing ahead of you on that, then you're in trouble because it's such few roles, 1 or 2.
Exactly
So
right.
who was it that really...
There was a few players like Rooney and Owen were in my time. They were going to play. Owen had a lot of injuries. Rooney was obviously in and out sometimes as well.
You didn't cause any of those injuries, just to
no, not at all. But like I was sort of the next one in. But then we had sort of Defoe on the fringes. Darren Bent was around it. There was a few players sort of around that who wanted to be next in, and that was where I was. So if they got injured, I wanted to play. A lot of the time, 80% of the time, that was the case. But when it wasn't, you're sitting there going, I want England to win, but do I want him to score?
And that awkward.
And that's being totally honest.
Yeah.
Because you have to be honest with it now. And I know they're thinking the same.